Hello and welcome back to this channel. The video setup for today is a little bit different because I couldn't find any time during the day to film. But since I wanted to make sure that I have a video ready for this Tuesday, I have to film this in the middle of the night. So in today's tutorial, we'll learn how to draw this northern lights in Adobe Fresco. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and click on Create New. In here, I'll go into Digital and click on Current Screen Size. I have a color palette for you guys, so go ahead and download it from the link in the description box below. Once you have the colors, you can click on these images, go to your photos and bring it in. And you can actually increase the size to make it easier to pick colors. Click on Done. Now you can click and hold to select that color and just draw on your artboard. Doesn't matter because it comes as a new layer, but the main reason we are doing that is because that makes sure that it goes and saves under the recents. Let's go ahead and pick out all the colors. Once you have all the colors picked out, click on this I button to hide it. You can also hide the color palette. Now let's go ahead and click on this plus button to create a new layer, and let's start creating our illustration. But before we begin, we have to make sure that the sky is actually a different color. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this dark blue that I have. I think I'll choose this one, which is, by the way, 202, 94 and 48. Go to my fill tool and click and make a vector fill. I think that color should be okay. We can always go ahead and change it later. Maybe the darker one. Okay, I think the darker one suits better. That is 207, 93 and 34. Now let's click on a new layer and let's go into our brushes, and we're going to use a pixel brush for this that is under basic and soft round opacity. So let's go ahead and choose a color. Let's go ahead and choose this bright green that we have, 66, 96 and 100. And with this, we're going to draw the aurora borealis or the northern lights. So my setting for the brush is at 54. I'm just going to check if this is okay. I think I might want it to be a little bigger, about 200, I guess. So I'm going to set this to around about 230. You can actually click and hold, and it gives you a very nice screen to type in, and you can type in 232 or whatever you want and click outside. So my flow is at 17. You can actually keep it higher or lower. This is just the opacity of the brush. Smoothing is at 1, and everything else is actually a default setting. I haven't changed anything much. Okay, so my flow is set to finally at 24. It doesn't matter, you can change it wherever you want. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose this somewhere around here, more than half of this length, about here, and we're going to go ahead and draw an S shape. So I'll just show you by vector brush what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to draw something like this, and we want that to turn and come down like that. So up till here, just like that. Okay, this one need not be too curvy here. Make sure it's very less curved. So I'm just going to undo that, go back to my brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it like that. I think that should be good. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of pressure so that this forms something like this. Okay, now let's go and click on the pixel brushes again. We'll go to basic, and in here I'm going to go into mixer brushes, and I will choose the softy mixture. So this is set to around 750s, flow is 100. So you can change this depending on how you feel about it. So I'm just going to add very light pressure, like a really light pressure, and try to move it up like this. And if I feel like this brush is very thin for me, I'm going to increase this as much as I want. I'm going to add in this direction only. Make sure you add these lines in this direction and not any other direction, by the way, until you get to this point like this. Okay, and maybe make this a little thicker like that. All right, and in here you're going to add a bit like this, that is upwards motion like that, until you get here. Don't add pressure because then it creates a completely different kind of an effect which you don't want. Okay, and I think I'm going to go ahead and go back to my soft brush. I have it in my favorites, by the way, so it's easy to pick the brush. If you want to add any brush to your favorites, just click on the star next to it and it shows up under favorites. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a bit of color here like that, and maybe like this, and I'll go back to my mixer brush and add a bit like that. Okay, that looks fine. And now I'll go ahead and choose the dark blue that I have, that is 202, 94 and 48, and go back to my soft opacity brush, and I want to reduce this to maybe about 180s or something, and just add a bit of dark color here, not a lot, just a little bit, so it feels like it's, you know, turning and coming around here, right? Something like that. So I'm just gonna add that a bit, and if you feel like here, if you have too much of brightness, you can always go ahead and add something like that. Okay, all right, but let's go back to the original color that we had now, and soft round opacity, and I'm going to increase this again to about 230s or something. I'm going to add a bit here like that, like this, and here I'm going to continue in this line and go here like this. I'm not going to join these two, by the way. I'm just going to go ahead and add a bit here like that, and maybe here. Now I'll go back into my mixer brush, that is softy mixture. I'm going to go ahead and add a bit down like that. So if you feel this size is too big, go ahead and reduce it. It's fine. Don't add pressure, that's all, okay? And add a bit of things like this. I'm going to add a bit here as well, little bit, not a lot. I know it doesn't look good so far, but it's okay, we'll get there, okay? And now let's go ahead and choose some other colors. That is, I'm going to choose pink, and I'm on the mixer brush, by the way. You can actually go into the soft round opacity and increase this if you want a little bit more or something like that. I'm going to add some pink lines here like that, maybe here, a bit here, and maybe here as well, and something here, and maybe here. I want some blue, so I have this lighter blue, that is 202, 94 and 48. I'm going to add some here and here as well. Maybe add a bit here, something like that. I think it needs to be a little lighter, so maybe this dark blue. Yeah, this is better actually. You can use the, undo that using your 2-finger tap. Okay, and I'm going to go into this blue, that is 208, 199, and we're going to go ahead and add a bit here like that. Okay, don't add too much, let's add a little bit here and there, and maybe add a bit, like if you want to add it to this. Okay, it looks cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on a new layer and go to your levels here, and we're going to change this into screen and click back. And now let's go ahead and choose the bright yellow that we have. By the way, I have a couple more greens there. You can choose them as well, it's okay. And I'm going to go ahead and add a bit of here so that it creates kind of a nice shadow. So you can go ahead and choose the other greens as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that. You can see it creates a bit of a luminosity kind of a thing. And you can go ahead and choose the pink, and I'm going to add a bit of pink on top of this green, as you see, like this, like that. Okay, and we can choose a blue as well and add a bit here and there. Now you can actually choose a mix of brushes, softy mixture, and then add this blue or whatever over here. So make sure you don't add a lot of pressure, just a little bit. Mixes with the pink. You can actually go back to this layer as well and do a bit of mixing like that. I'm going to go ahead and choose that green that I have, the yellowish green, and add a bit here because I feel like it could use a little more brightness. So I'm going to add that here like that. Like I told you, you can go ahead and add it. Little bits of dots like that. Like this. Okay, I think that looks good. Now let's click on a new layer. That is, go on top and click on a new layer. Let's go ahead and choose black, or just choose black here. And let's go into Belgian comics brush. That is, you can find it under ink and then Belgian comics. And you're going to draw a silhouette. That is just, wait, this should come a bit like that. Maybe like this. And I'm going to draw a house, just simple house, something like this. And then maybe a fence. And obviously we can draw some trees, coniferous trees. Just put one line and then scribble. So by the way, these trees, that's too tall, okay? Those trees are drawn like this. You just draw a line and then you go like this. See what I'm doing? I'm doing like this. This is the easiest one you can draw, so I'm just showing it to you guys. So let's go ahead and do that. I want the tree to be about this much. And it should go wider as you go towards the base. See, it's tinier here. It's not that wide, but here it gets really wide. And instead of just doing like this, I do shaky like that. Yeah, it wasn't necessary to tell like that, but yeah, okay. Okay, and then maybe something like that. And in here you can make few more. Oh, by the way, the Belgian comics is set to 243. You don't really have to set it, but you know, any number is okay. Just whatever is comfortable for you, okay? Just going to draw that, and now I'm going to fill this up with black. Okay, so your Aurora Borealis is almost ready, but we're not done yet. I'm going to go into the screen layer, that which I had created over here, and reduce the opacity if you want, or make it brighter. It's totally up to you. You can do that. By the way, if you feel this brightness is not enough, you can always go into that layer, click on your hue, saturation, brightness and contrast, and increase the brightness a little bit. Okay, don't do too much. That's a little too much. So maybe a little bit. And see the number here, and increase it or decrease it however you want. Okay, you can also decrease or increase the contrast as well, but I think I'm going to keep it at whatever number it was. Maybe keep it 1. That's enough. And click here, and that goes away. All right, so this is fine. Now if you want to add some stars, you can do that as well. So you can just go back to the layer which has this background layer, click on a new layer, and you can always choose some white, and you can choose whatever brush you want. Actually, it doesn't matter. You can always choose this basic hard round and reduce the size, and maybe make some, it's too tiny, right? Just gonna clear the layer, click and clear layer, and make it bigger, and let's see. Yeah, that looks good. You can make some tiny ones like that. Increase the size and make some bigger ones. increase the size and make even more bigger ones. Like that. Make some here behind if you want. You can add furthermore layers like I showed you about the screen. You can add more layers and add more colors. It depends on how you want your artwork to be. So go ahead and experiment with it a little bit. So you can add a bit of colors here and there to make it look even more nicer and warmer or more colorful, however you want. So go ahead and experiment a little bit with these colors that you have. It's I don't know, you need to experiment with this stuff. So I'm just adding some pinks here and there because I thought my sky isn't colorful enough, but it's okay. And one additional thing you could do is go back into this layer, go on top of that layer, choose some yellow. I have that yellow for you here, by the way. And you can choose your Belgian comics if you want. And then you can actually draw some lights in this house. You can make it even more brighter or whatever, and you can draw lights in that house if you really want to. But I don't want to because I like this kind of an effect. So let me just do that. Okay, so that's it. That brings us to the end of this tutorial, and I hope you liked it. This was a pretty simple tutorial, and due to lack of time, we didn't do a lot, but just a simple night sky. If you like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. You can always support this channel by buying me a coffee at ko-fi.com. You'll find the link to do that in the description box below. If you do create anything using one of my tutorials, don't forget to tag me on Instagram with print me some color or think beyond color because I would love to check it out. I guess I'll see you in the next video then. So until next week, bye bye.